start recording. Well, welcome everybody to our Colorado Proud webinar. I'm Barb Howe. I do business development here at the Colorado Department of Agriculture. And today we are really excited. We've got Christopher Goetz. He's with the Small Business Development Center. And we've got Farnosh family, and she owns Sun Ghee. So they're going to talk to us about the services the Small Business Development Center offers, but also Trout Tank, which I find quite interesting as a great opportunity for Colorado businesses to even learn more about how to pitch their business. We just ask that, we mute our microphones if we're not speaking, and it just eliminates background noise. We certainly want questions, and, raise your hand or go ahead and type it in the chat. We'll make sure we get it addressed. But we'll also ask each speaker for questions after they're done, and again at the end. So we'll have plenty of time. And if you have any questions that come up after the webinar, you can certainly email me at barb.howe@state.co.us. I'd be happy to connect you. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Christopher, and he is going to tell us all about the Small Business Development Center and their awesome services.
Great. Well, thank you, Barb. Really appreciate that. Let me go ahead and start sharing my screen so we can, oh, come on. Right, there we go. How's that? Can everybody hear me? Everybody see my screen? Awesome. Awesome. Well, Barb, thank you very much. My name is Christopher Goetz, and I am the program manager here for the Small Business Development Center, the Denver Metro Small Business Development Center. Now, the good question is what is a small business development center? And a great hint is that they are in every state. We've been around since 1987 or so. And the small business development centers provide counseling, training to small businesses. We work with the Small Business Administration to provide informational tools to support businesses, startups, existing business expansion, and there are 15 small business development centers in Colorado. So no matter where you are in Colorado, there is a small business development center for you, all the way down in La Junta, down in Gunnison, up in Greeley. The Denver Metro Small Business Development Center is located conveniently in downtown Denver. We are right at 14th and Market, so we are in the heart of everything. Every small business development center is really, our goal is to create jobs through Colorado entrepreneurs. We want to help people pursue that career in business ownership, become active community contributors, job creators, and wealth producers. Most small businesses are started by people who never had, formal business training. So what we're here to do is to help people who have an idea, who have a dream, but don't have that education, kind of bridge that gap so we can help get them started on their entrepreneurial journey. How we do that is through three main pillars. We offer free business consulting. That's one of the number one things that we offer. And we have multiple business consultants who can help you in a variety of different areas. If you need help in finance, we have finance business consulting. How about accounting or marketing? Or maybe you have an idea and you want to figure out how to patent that idea, or you need help with your supply chain, or you need to talk to somebody in the food and beverage industry because you're going to launch your CPG product and you need some help navigating those waters. We have consultants for all of those things. And It's free. So no matter how many times you come to the Denver Metro SBDC looking for answers from one of our consultants, we're not going to charge you for that. We also offer low-cost business training programs, educational programs. One of our main pillars is what we call our business foundation programs. And so you have an idea. Hey, I want to start a new product, and I just don't know what to do and where to go and how to start. Well, we have a business foundation startup class. It's a 2-hour online class that we offer, that we walk through the beginning steps of what you need to do to start your business. We follow that up with our business foundation business plan class. And then we have additional foundational classes around finance, marketing, human resources, law, all of those, so that you can know where to come to have a trusted resource who's not going to lead you down a path and not going to take all your money from you. Like I said, it's a low-cost business training. And then we offer some networking and unique programs. These are some of our signature programs, as well as additional programming that we can provide to help entrepreneurs get good information and information that they can use and build on. One of our main signature programs is our Leading Edge program. And our Leading Edge program comes in multiple varieties. We have our Leading Edge for Entrepreneurs class and our Leading Edge for Transportation and Construction class. The Transportation and Construction class is really focused on those small businesses who are in the transportation and construction industries and want to work with the government, want to work with CDOT. We teach you what you need to know so you can get into those industries and start bidding on some of those government contracts. And a lot of people don't know, but Colorado is the second largest market for government contracts. So there's a lot of opportunity out there. We just help those small businesses understand the process that they need to go through, and then help give them connections within the industry so that they can start bidding on those contracts. Our Leading Edge for Entrepreneurs class, that's a class you can take throughout the state from many different SBDCs, and it is our 10-week business plan writing class. So you will start that class, and after 10 weeks, you will have an actual business plan, living and breathing, that will help map out your business and how you're going to go and where you're going to go over the next few years. I mention that because Barb talked about our Trout Tank Pitch Accelerator program. And that is another signature program. It is really signature to the Denver Metro SBDC. No other SBDC provides the Trout Tank Pitch Accelerator program. And what that is a 7-week program that will walk you through what it means to build the pitch and then to deliver that pitch if you are going to go seek funding from any of the wonderful funding institutions that help small businesses throughout our state. You may ask yourself, well, what kind of funding institutions are there throughout our state that will help small businesses? Well, I'm so glad you asked that question, because coming up later on this month, on Thursday, October 26th, we're going to have a free funding options panel. We're going to have a representative from the Small Business Administration, and then we're going to have representatives from 5 other lending institutions. They are going to talk about who they lend to, how they lend, and tips for entrepreneurs who are walking through their doors asking for a loan or money for their business. Now, I can guarantee you all of those institutions are first and foremost going to ask a business for their business plan. So that's why I mentioned Leading Edge for Entrepreneurs, why I mentioned our business foundation programs prior to getting into our Trout Tank Pitch Accelerator program. These are programs that will help give you those foundations, give you the tools so that when you're ready to start building and learning how to create that pitch, you have all the other tools in your arsenal so that you are ready to really focus on your business and honing your pitch. Now, before I get into some of the details, more of these details, I'd like to introduce you to Farnosh, who is a Denver SBDC client. She's gone through a number of our programs, so I'd really like to let her talk about her business and her experience with the SBDC.
Thank you for that, Christopher. Yeah, so like Christopher mentioned, I've interacted with the SBDC in a couple of different ways. And actually, prior to even having this business, I had taken one of their low-cost programs on the business canvas model. And there are still things from that class that are applicable to my business now. Even though my business has changed, the knowledge that I got there and the way to think about things like different revenue streams and all of that was really useful for me even here in this business that is a little bit newer. But yeah, the program that I did a year ago with them was a Trout Tank, and that was really valuable in that, I walked in and I had sort of like one set of ideas of how I was going to structure a pitch or like what I would need. And just the amount of education I got in those 7 weeks was really, really pretty tremendous. Everything from, how to structure it, what are the relevant, what relevant pieces of information do you need to have, how to present it, what kind of questions can you expect, and how would you be able to answer that? All of that was super valuable. And even, I'm sort of laughing because even I saw you had on the previous slide, the professional communicators were a part of that program and in teaching us through how to present and everything. And I just remember the first time that I did my practice for them, I just like plowed right through, and I don't know, I spoke super fast, got through all the information, and I was like, yes, I did it. And like, I said something to them like, I don't know if I should keep the joke that I have at the beginning. And they were like, what joke? Like, we didn't even catch it. Like, you went so fast. So, just all of those things, like everything that goes into presenting well, and then having all the ideas behind it. So, they're really valuable things I still use today. And, I was successful and I was able to win our competition, which was awesome because then that opened up some more resources for me. In addition to, more exposure and being out there more, there were people who offered their services to the winner. So I was able to talk to people in the industry, get really valuable feedback. And that's what has now allowed me to have this rebrand. A part of what the experience for me with Trout Tank, I realized there's a lot of explanation for what my product is. It's ghee, which is clarified butter, and not necessarily everyone knows what that is. If my product were pickles or ketchup, like that is a little bit simpler, right? Like that is a little bit more commonly known, but ghee just requires a little bit more education. And so I needed to have, a lot more clarity, ease of understanding in the packaging. And so I can really credit winning the Trout Tank to being able to have that clearly displayed onto my packaging. I don't know if you want to show them the next slide. And so, like I said, we were able to redo our packaging. I got a lot of great feedback. I was able to talk to people in the industry to get that going. And just to give you an idea of, how that's helped me and supported this business, at the start of that program last year, I had one wholesale client, which I was really excited about to have a client at all. But then, now at this point, we have about 13 retail locations that we're in. And then kind of, linking back to that business canvas model, I also realized that we could have more than one revenue stream. So we have the direct to consumer, we have the retail, but we also now have food service. So we now supply bulk ghee to restaurants and other places that, want to buy this in bulk and not in just our jars. So I feel really grateful just to have been able to interact with them in that way and gained all that insight. So thank you, Christopher.
Fantastic. Oh man, Farnosh, it was so great to be able to also be part of your journey of, seeing how you progressed through your different presentations. And one of the things that we definitely utilize here at the SBDC is some of our partnerships. And so throughout your Trout Tank Pitch Accelerator experience, we were able to bring in professionals to help speak on the different aspects of what you need to understand. When we talk about speaking to your market, we were able to bring in our expert from the Denver Public Library to talk about where you can get some of that market research and get that market research so you can speak directly about your consumer in a very detailed way, in a very knowledgeable way, and back that up with numbers and get that from the Denver Public Library, who will be able to connect you with all that information for free. So this is a partnership where we try to connect the resources to the entrepreneur, because many people don't even know that one of the best market research resources they have at their fingertips is the Denver Public Library. So shout out to DPL and their Biz Boost program. Highly recommend, if you want to learn more about your market, to go to the DPL website, look up their Biz Boost program, and get familiar with that. Some of the other folks that we bring in some financial experts to help you really dial in those financial numbers so you can speak to them clearly and concisely and answer questions about your finances. We also bring in some folks from Rocky Mountain Venture Club, and they really walk you through the process of what it means to go and make a pitch at one of these institutions, because it's not just walking through the door, making a pitch. Half an hour later, you're walking out the door with the check in your hand. I wish it was that easy, but really there's quite the process and many, many steps that you'll go through. And our Rocky Venture Club partners really walk you through that process and then help you understand what the lenders are looking for and what they're going to ask. And finally, as you are building your pitch deck, we bring in, as Farnosh mentioned, our partners, professional communicators, and they really help you hone in those presentation skills. Many people are not born speaking to groups of people, and it is one of the scariest things that some people will be asked to do, is to get up in front of somebody and make a presentation, and especially a presentation asking for money. So our professional communicators help you with that presentation, your speech patterns, what you're talking about, when you're talking about, where you want to put emphasis, all sorts of great things. And I was speeding up there, slowing down so people can have time to take in the information that you are giving. So our next Trout Tank Pitch Accelerator program will begin in January. You will go through 7 weeks and create a pitch deck. And then we take our top entrepreneurs from our program and we do a pitch event. And this is really exciting because we invite a whole bunch of people to come sit down and hear the pitches from our entrepreneurs. And I know, Farnosh, you can speak to this event. What was it like for you to get up in front of this audience of people you didn't know and have to make that pitch?
Yeah, I mean, it was actually very exciting. Like that event was pretty fun. I mean, I was super nervous and I'm sure I sped up a lot, but that room was actually great because there was a lot of people who wanted to like learn about the business, people who wanted to connect you with other people. So in addition to it being just a good event to pitch at, it was also a great networking opportunity as well, and another way to gain exposure. And like one other thing I wanted to point out was that having that Colorado Proud logo on our packaging has really helped, one, set us apart, and then two, it like opens a door for people to ask more questions about, oh, so this is a Colorado company, and having that signal of like, okay, we do want to support this.
That is just awesome. We love to hear that. Love to hear how the connections and the programs that the people are doing around the state to help support small businesses and entrepreneurs that hear that they're working and that they're making an impact. So wonderful. Agriculture is such an important part of our state and where we get a lot of the revenue that comes into our state, something like $47 billion, I believe, and over 190,000 people are employed through agriculture in our state. And one of the great things about that is most of that is small businesses, small farms, small businesses, people who are just working within their own communities to help support their families, friends, and build that connection throughout Colorado. So yay to agriculture, yay to Colorado Proud, and that label and helping support that and open those conversations. So a little bit back to our Trout Tank and our little pitch event. Super fun. We invite, not only some business lenders and other folks, but we ask all of our participants to invite their friends and family. And then as you see there, you have a chance to win a nice grand prize coming up at this next accelerator program. We have the audience vote on who is the best pitch. So that is who gets to vote and choose who's going to win our big old pitch event. And then, of course, that's all held at the Denver Metro Chamber of Commerce building. They are our host organization and, of course, have also worked with, the Department of Agriculture, and really been great partners with them as well. One other thing I want to talk about is our next Leading Edge for Entrepreneurs program. That's going to start in February. I mention that again because if you are going to make a pitch to any of the lending institutions, they're going to want to see a business plan. And they really want a very well-formed business plan. And we have this awesome, great leading edge program that will walk you through building that business plan. We bring in experts to talk about finances, marketing, law, HR. So it's not just one, instructor just kind of going through module after module or lesson after lesson. Beyond that, you get to interact with all sorts of other entrepreneurs and you are making those connections. So highly recommend this great program. Our next Leading Edge will begin in February. Our Trout Tank, our Leading Edge, our Business Foundation programs, all of these that I mentioned, these are programs that we do multiple times throughout the year. So if the upcoming Trout Tank in January doesn't quite fit into your schedule, or the Leading Edge for Entrepreneurs doesn't quite fit into your schedule this time around, don't worry. We have our next Leading Edge already scheduled for our summer. That will begin in later June, and then we'll be scheduling another Trout Tank program following up this upcoming Leading Edge for Entrepreneurs. We do our funding options panels multiple times throughout the year. So again, if you can't make it to our next funding options panel, which is free and coming up on Thursday, October 26th, that's okay. We'll be doing that again. We always offer that free consulting. So you can go to info@denversbdc.org to get more information. Give us a call, leave us a message. My colleague Kim will get back to you. And our business is to help your business. So that's my presentation.
I want to add one thing to that, Christopher. The free consulting you can also use, within the programs too. So, for example, like when I was getting ready for the Trout Tank pitch, there were just a lot of questions within my industry that I was not familiar with. Like, this is my first time having a food business. So in order to just know like what is reasonable or what kind of numbers I should expect, there's actually different experts in that consultant list that you have. And so I was able to talk to someone like specifically in my industry and then, ask them questions, what kind of velocities do you expect in this category? What are reasonable and those kinds of things. So that was also really tremendous. And I think you can even continue registering with them afterwards as well, which is also a nice service.
Yeah, that is correct. You can meet with our consultants in an unlimited number of times. We realize that your business is going to go through all sorts of stages. And so the questions you may have now may not be the same questions 2 years, 3 years down the line. So we always want people to feel free to come back and continue to learn, continue to make those connections, and continue to network. If we at our Denver Metro SBDC, if we don't have a consultant that can help answer your question, as I mentioned, we're one of 15 SBDCs throughout the state. So we have all those other resources that we can tap into and say, hey, the La Junta SBDC, do you have a consultant who can help in this area? And so, typically we can find that resource and connect people with those resources. And again, make sure to do that in a very low cost way. Please come to your local SBDC. Let us help you. That's what we're here for. That's why we were created.
Well, that was fantastic. Thank you, Christopher, and thank you, Farnosh. Congratulations on winning the Trout Tank. It's a
thank you.
Great accomplishment. I do see a question from Amber. Could they get a copy of these slides?
Yes.
Perfect.
Definitely.
And
Yes.
what would be the best way to do that, Christopher? Do you want them to contact you directly, or?
They can contact me directly here. Let me put my contact information in the chat here. You can always email me.
Wonderful. Do we have any questions for these guys?
I got a question. I'm curious on any of the programs. I've seen some of those programs around, and I've been kind of more involved with the small business centers here the last few months. But one of my biggest challenges is we've got 3 young kids while we're trying to do this. And I was curious if there was any virtual options for any of like the Leading Edge, for example, or some of those 7 or 10 week programs.
So each of your local SBDC, you'll have to check specifically with their programming. But here at the Denver Metro SBDC, we do realize that there are some challenges in trying to come downtown once a week for 10 weeks running. That's tough, and finding parking and all that stuff. So our leading edge class, our upcoming leading edge class that's going to be starting in February, that is going to be an in-person class. We do record all of those classes so that if you do miss a class, you're able to review that information. Our summer leading edge class is going to be completely virtual. So we do try to offer in person for people who, you know, their learning style is better accommodated if they are in person. And then for other people who have other challenges, you know, that, hey, driving downtown and parking every week for 10 weeks, please don't make me do that. We do offer our virtual program. The Trout Tank, however, that's very interactive.
That makes sense.
You know, as Farnosh can, you know, attest to, you know, really, especially when you're working with the professional communicators, that is an in-person experience.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate that. And I think the Leading Edge was more what I was kind of concerned, because I've seen it pop up a few different times and I'm like, oh, that sounds intriguing, but I just haven't been able to make it work with our schedule. But so yeah, that would definitely be the program that I was more interested in with the virtual. So that's really good to know. I appreciate it.
Yeah, and then you know, typically our cohorts, because you know that's what we call them. You're going through this, you know, together, which is awesome. You have a group of people that you're experiencing this with. Even with our all online classes, we find many times that you know, our cohort will choose to meet in person outside of class somewhere, so that they can get more of that networking. And then we always throw a little graduation party here for our cohorts, and we do that here at the chamber, so that we at least try to give that opportunity of everybody meeting in person at least once if they can possibly make it.
That's awesome.
I would
Thank you
add,
so
I
much.
still see people from my cohort pretty regularly. Like I saw 2 of them last weekend. You know, I'm in communication with other ones. We all just sort of keep supporting each other, and that's pretty awesome.
That is awesome. I love that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I think you find, you know, and I've found in being part of these programs, especially our leading edge program, you have these different businesses who are going through this program, you know, and Farnosh can, you know, can talk to this a little bit too about some of the different programs she's been in. But you're like, I'm, you know, going through this class and, you know, I may have a food product, but this other person is trying to sell shoes, or this other person is doing a consulting business, or this other person, you know, is in fashion. why would I want to be hanging out with these people? But you'll find very quickly that you're all small business owners. And there are challenges that you're all facing that are similar, and the experience and the knowledge that one person is gaining in one area can easily cross over to another industry, another area. So you really find great support, commonality, and insight from your fellow students, truly.
That sounds wonderful. That's probably a good portion of the learning right there, is to learn from each other.
Yeah. And even almost more so when we do our leading edge for transportation. I mean, because that's a very specific industry, specific class. All of those folks are, some of them already know each other, but they end up working very well together and creating a much larger, powerful network. Everybody working together lifts all the ships, and there's plenty of pie to go around. It's just figuring out how to get that piece of the pie.
Yeah, especially as and when you're like a solo entrepreneur, it's nice to have that group of people that you can just reach out to just to talk through something, having someone else just to go through whatever you're doing and hear those ideas out loud can be really helpful.
Well, that's great. I was just curious, how many companies do compete in a given trout tank? Like, how many companies do you accept into a program?
That's a great question. We limit it to 15 companies, so that everyone gets the opportunity to get that individual training and experience, especially with our professional communicators. If we get more than that, then we just don't really have the time to give that quality experience. So also reminds me that with these signature programs like Leading Edge and like Trout Tank, we always do an early bird price. So we have our full price for these programs, but typically we have a great early bird price that goes that's available all the way up to about a week before the program will start. So you can take advantage of those wonderful early bird pricings. Unfortunately, we don't have connections to any scholarship opportunities at the moment. That may change in the future. We used to have some scholarship opportunities pre-pandemic, so we're working on hopefully building those resources back up again to again support our local entrepreneurs and small businesses. But typically you'll see that with our programming, if you compare it to other programming that's out there, you'll find that for the quality that we're offering, the expertise that we're offering throughout all sorts of different areas, that you're really getting a great program at a great value. And
well, that's really generous.
I should say that the SBDC does not make our money off of our education or programming. We are funded separately. So these are programs, we do not do these programs to fund the SBDC. We minimal costs so that we can try to cover our basic costs.
Good point. I was also curious, how do they sign up then? Just do they go to the SBDC.org website and it'll walk them through if somebody wants to register for any one of these programs?
That's correct. They can learn more about our consulting. They can request an initial consulting session. You'll go through a little, we'll ask you a few questions about what your business is and, what you're looking for help on. And then my colleague, Kim, will be able to connect you with the proper consultant. You can check out our calendar of workshops and sign up. All of our business foundation classes are all delivered online virtually now. So those are standalone 2-hour classes. I mentioned early in the webinar, things like our startup class, business foundation startup. Like, I've got this great idea, I just don't know where to go, what to do. We'll talk to you and give you resources to help you begin that journey. Get registered with the Secretary of State. Understand what it means to register as a sole proprietor or as an LLC or as an S Corp, and what are the advantages between registering as one or the other, and what are some of the things you need to be aware of as you begin this entrepreneurial journey. Definitely the business foundation classes, we've tried to make them as accessible, and we do those again on a very regular cadence. So maybe not ready to quite start that nascent idea that's grown in here, but when you are, your local SBDC will be ready to help you.
Excellent. Amber or Stacy, do you have any more questions for either Farnosh or Christopher?
Sure, I've got another one. Christopher, you had mentioned that 15 applicants get in for the Trout Tank. Is that, how many applications do you typically get on average?
Just kind of depends. Some parts of the year seem a little more, people have a little more moxie and get up and go. I anticipate with our Trout Tank being at the beginning of 2024, that's a lot of times people are like, new year, I'm starting, I'm going to get this going. So I expect that we'll probably see a pretty good turnout for this one. But it just kind of depends on where people are in their journey.
How does that get narrowed down to the 15 that you guys let in?
So typically we set a limit on people who can apply, and as long as you are in a stage, in an entrepreneurial stage where it makes sense for you to go through the program, we're going to let you go through the program. We try to be supportive and, not keep people from wanting to learn what they want to learn when they want to learn. But if there is somebody who's really, they're not yet, their business isn't developed enough that, we also want to make sure they're spending their money appropriately, and that, hey, maybe it's better for you to spend your time and resources developing it this way. Let us connect you with some of our consultants so you can start working through this part. Maybe it's time for you to take a leading edge class, so then you'll have that business plan which you'll need if you're going to walk into CEDS Finance or B-Side Capital and B-Side Fund and look for funding. So we really try to help and guide and not limit if possible.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And I have to say, I've been working with some different consultants, and they've all been amazing, and stuff that I never even would have thought about. And Kim connecting me with some of the other, I just had a quick question, and the next thing I know, like, the consultants are helping me walk through the entire process that I never even would have thought of. So it's been amazing.
That's awesome to hear. Oh, that's great to hear.
Yep.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's great. Farnosh, do you have anything else to add for our Colorado Proud members?
I would say, Colorado Proud and having that logo has certainly been beneficial in drawing attention to our company. And there are times, I do a lot of in-person events, like farmers markets and things. And so I have that logo even, on our signage. And some people will say like, that's why they approached our booth, because of the Colorado Proud signage. So that's been a huge support. And so I'm really appreciative of that. And then I would add also, as I've mentioned, like my business changed slightly, even going through the Trout Tank or, after, there were other people within my cohort too, who kind of came in with one business idea. And then it sort of evolved during that, the 7-week program, just because going through the process of coming up with the pitch, it kind of points out the parts that you need to work on or fix or adjust or whatever. So that I thought was interesting too, that they got to like work through what it was that they were actually doing and how they would present it.
Well, that's good feedback. Probably helps clarify an idea maybe and really hone in on exactly what you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent. And Christopher, any final advice or words for our Colorado Proud members?
Sure. To tag on to a little bit of what Farnosh was mentioning, many of our small business entrepreneurs are serial entrepreneurs. Rarely do you have somebody who has just one idea. Especially in our leading edge classes, we say, let's start with one idea. We will teach you this process, and then you can build that business plan through this process. And then for all your other brilliant ideas, you can use that process to go through and evaluate those ideas. For us, success is maybe a little different than for what people may initially think. We have had people come into our leading edge program and, like Farnosh said, have had this idea. Oh, I've got this great idea. It's going to be awesome. I just don't quite know how it's going to work out. They start going through that leading edge program and they realize, oh, maybe this idea isn't as brilliant and wonderful as I thought. And maybe I need to pivot or think of something else. And for us, that's a win, because that means that entrepreneur did not spend time, energy, money, resources in going down a rabbit hole that was not going to have a return on that investment. And so that's a real win for us. If we can save an entrepreneur that heartache, time, and frustration, then we have won a lot there. One of our recent graduates going through the program realized that instead of spending the time and effort it would take for her to revamp her business, and she had already been in business for 7 years. She was in a place where she was being offered, an opportunity to sell her business, and she wasn't sure if that was the right path for her to choose. As she went through the program, went through the process, and was able to really hone in and think about what's important to her and where she wants to go, she was like, I'm going to sell my business. I've got a good offer, and it's actually going to fulfill all the things I've wanted and needed, and allow me to then move on to the next chapter of my life. And that's a win for us, because she was able to come to that conclusion herself with all the resources and all the guidance that she had available to her. And it was, she came back later and said, that was a really great decision. sold the business. I'm in a different place and in a great place. And I never would have gotten there and felt as good about that decision had she not gone through the program. So success is not only just seeing entrepreneurs like Farnosh, not only get an idea, but grow that idea. Now she's got, multiple different revenue streams going on, and really building that, but also, helping entrepreneurs in different areas of their journey. We're really starting to focus on exit planning strategy for many of our entrepreneurs, because that is something that many entrepreneurs don't think about. And to get the most value out of this business that they have spent time, energy, years, and resources and poured into, to get that return on their investment, just takes a little bit of planning. And so we want to help, whether that's selling a business, whether that's transitioning to an employee-owned business. There are grants out there available to people to help them learn how to transition their business into an employee-owned business. There's money out there to be had to help educate, in different areas of business. And so another resource that we try to help, connect folks to.
That's a really good point. I'm sure a lot of people get a lot out of that from that avenue, and looking at the future is critical.
Mm-hmm.
Well, gosh, thank you, Christopher. Thank you, Farnosh. Fantastic presentations and information, so helpful. And Amber and Stacy, thank you for joining us. Christopher has left his email in the chat, so feel free to reach out, and you can access those slides. And I want to thank you so much for joining us, and I hope everybody has a great day.
Yeah, thanks,
Thank
Barb.
you.
Yeah. Have a great day, everybody.
Bye.